Welcome to the peaceful space of sleep-friendly science, where tonight we ponder an ancient riddle about a legendary ship and how its journey mirrors the quiet, constant changes happening within you. Have you ever wondered about the person you were a decade ago? Our bodies are in a constant state of renewal, and our thoughts evolve with every new dawn. This gentle paradox invites us to question the very nature of our identity. What makes you you? Now, settle in, take a deep breath, and let the soft sounds guide you as we begin tonight's journey into the unknown. Section 1. The Ancient Ship of Theseus. Imagine, for a moment, that you are standing in a sun-drenched harbor in ancient Athens. The air is warm and still, thick with the scent of salt and cypress. Before you, bobbing gently on the lapping waves of the Aegean Sea, is a ship. It is not just any ship. This is a legend, a vessel of triumph, a silent hero preserved by a grateful city. This is the ship of Theseus. Its timbers are weathered and dark, speaking in quiet creaks of a journey long past. You can almost feel the history radiating from it, a story etched into its very grain. This is the ship that carried the hero Theseus home after he navigated the labyrinth's dark heart and slew the Minotaur, freeing his people from a monstrous shadow. It is a symbol of courage, of ingenuity, of a thread of hope followed through the deepest darkness. For this reason, the people of Athens have kept it moored in their harbor for generations, a monument to their defining myth, a physical anchor to their identity. But time, as it always does, begins its patient work of unraveling. A year passes, and one of the thick wooden planks in the hull, softened by the sea and bleached by the sun, begins to rot. To preserve their beloved monument, the city's devoted caretakers carefully remove the decaying plank and replace it with a new one, just as strong, carved from the same type of oak, a perfect match. The ship looks whole again, saved from the slow decay. Another year drifts by, and the great mast, which once caught the winds of victory, is found to be cracked and weakened. With the same loving care, it too is taken down and replaced with a new, sturdy mast. Then a sail, tattered by the memory of 1,000 sea breezes, is replaced. An oar, worn thin by the hands of long-gone heroes, is swapped for a fresh one. Slowly, gently, year after year, this process continues. A plank here, a beam there, a rope, a nail, a section of the deck. Each time a part of the original ship succumbs to the gentle siege of time, it is replaced with a new, identical piece. The ship remains in the harbor, always looking the same, always honored as the ship of Theseus. And here, in this quiet act of preservation, a question begins to bloom, as soft and persistent as moss growing on stone. After a century of these careful repairs, a point is reached where not a single piece of the original ship remains. Every last splinter of the wood that carried Theseus home has been replaced. So, the question hangs in the still, sunlit air. Is this still the ship of Theseus? It has the same shape, the same design, the same name. It serves the same purpose as a monument in the harbor. The city still calls it by its name, and children still look upon it with wonder, hearing tales of its heroic first voyage. But it shares not a single physical atom with the vessel that first earned that name. Is a thing defined by its form, its function, its name? Or is it defined by the physical material that makes it up? Now, let the paradox deepen, like the sea at dusk. Imagine that one of the caretakers, a philosopher at heart, did not discard the old, rotten pieces. With a sense of reverence, he collected every single original plank, every splintered mast, every frayed rope. Over the century, he gathered them all in a vast warehouse. And when the ship in the harbor was finally composed of entirely new materials, he took all the original, time-worn pieces and painstakingly reassembled them. Now there are two ships that stand in the harbor of your mind. One is the gleaming, repaired vessel in the water, the one the city has maintained. The other is the reassembled ship in the warehouse, the ghost made of the original, authentic bones of the past. Which one is the real ship of Theseus? The question echoes, not demanding an answer, but inviting you to simply be with the mystery. Is it the ship that has a continuous history, a constant presence in the harbor? Or is it the ship made of the original matter, even if it has been dismantled and rebuilt? Where does the identity of the ship truly live? In its story? In its substance? In the minds of those who behold it? There is no easy answer. It is a gentle koan, a riddle that unwraps the very idea of what it means to be something. And this ancient riddle, whispered through millennia from philosopher to student, is not just about a ship of wood and sail. It is, in the most intimate way, a story about you. For you are a vessel on a far grander and more mysterious voyage than Theseus ever undertook. Your body, this miraculous ship of bone and flesh and breath, is also in a constant state of repair and replacement. The cells that form your skin, your bones, your organs, are not the same ones you were born with. Like the planks on Theseus's ship, they are continually being replaced. The thoughts that fill your mind, the beliefs that form your masts and sails, are they the same ones you held a year ago? A decade ago? The memories you hold, the stories you tell yourself about who you are they perfect recordings of the past? Or are they, too, reconstructed, repaired, and retold over time? You are not a static statue, carved once from a single block of stone. You are a living, flowing, changing process. You are, in every sense, a ship of Theseus. So, as we begin this journey tonight, let this ancient paradox be our gentle guide. We will not seek to solve it with sharp logic, but to feel its truth resonating within our own being. We will explore how this timeless question about a wooden ship opens up the most profound inquiry into the nature of you. If every part of you changes, from the atoms in your body to the ideas in your mind, are you still the same person? What is the thread that connects the you of today to the you of yesterday and the you of tomorrow? Where does your identity truly reside? Let the question settle. Don't grasp for an answer. Just allow it to be. Allow the image of the two ships to rest peacefully in your mind as we drift into the deeper waters of our exploration. The ship in the sunlit harbor and the ghost ship made of memories. Both have a claim to the same name, just like the many versions of you that have existed over the course of your life. Section 2. Your body, a constantly flowing river. Now bring your awareness gently inward. Leave the sunlit harbor of ancient Athens and journey into the far more intimate, far more mysterious vessel that you call your body. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest with each breath. That breath is not just air. It is the tide, pulling the world into you and releasing you back into the world. With every inhale, you draw in new atoms, oxygen, nitrogen, argon, billions upon billions of tiny, invisible building blocks. These atoms, which moments ago were part of the vast, shared atmosphere of our planet, are now becoming a part of you. This is where the paradox of the ship ceases to be a thought experiment and becomes your most fundamental biological truth. You are not a static object. You are not a statue, carved once and left to endure the ages. You are a river. From a distance, a river appears to be a constant thing. It has a name, a shape, a path it follows to the sea. But the water that makes up the river is never the same from one moment to the next. It is in a state of perpetual, graceful flow. And so are you. The body you inhabit is a masterpiece of constant renewal, a silent, ceaseless dance of farewell and welcome. Right now, as you lie here, resting, a universe of activity is unfolding within you. Billions of your cells are reaching the end of their designated lifespan, saying a quiet farewell. And in their place, billions of new cells are being born, taking up their duties with fresh energy. This process is so seamless, so perfectly orchestrated, that you are not even aware of it. It is the deep, silent hum of life itself. Let your awareness drift to the surface of your being, to your skin. This soft, protective layer that forms the boundary between you and the world is a perfect example of your flowing nature. The outermost layer of your skin is made of cells that are, in a sense, already ghosts. They have completed their journey upward from the deeper layers, and in their final act, They form a shield to protect the living cells beneath. Every day, you shed millions of these cells without a thought. They become the dust that settles on your shelves, a quiet testament to your constant self-renewal. In about a month, you will have an entirely new outer layer of skin. The surface of your ship has been completely replanked. Journey deeper, past the skin, to the lining of your stomach. Here, in a churning, acidic ocean designed to break down the food you eat, life for a cell is intense and short. To survive in this environment, the lining of your stomach and intestines must rebuild itself at an astonishing rate. Cells here may live for only a few days before they are sloughed off and replaced by new ones. This part of you is in such a rapid state of flux that the you of last week, in this specific region, is almost entirely gone, replaced by a new you. A constant, heroic reconstruction is happening in your core, even in your deepest sleep. Now, think of the river within the river. Your blood. Your blood is a vibrant, flowing highway of life, carrying oxygen and nutrients to every distant corner of your cellular nation. The tireless couriers on this highway are your red blood cells. Each one is a marvel of design, a tiny, biconcave disc perfectly shaped to carry life-giving oxygen. But its journey is a finite one. A single red blood cell lives for about 120 days. For 4 months, it travels thousands of miles through the intricate network of your arteries and veins. Then, growing old and weary, it is gracefully retired in the spleen or liver, its iron recycled to create the next generation. Right now, about 2 million new red blood cells are being born in the soft, hidden marrow of your bones, every single second. They are brand new arrivals, ready to take up the work of their ancestors. The blood flowing through your veins today is profoundly different from the blood that flowed through them just a few seasons ago. But surely we think there must be something permanent. Surely the deepest, most solid parts of us must endure. What about your skeleton? The hard, strong frame that gives you structure, that holds you up against the pull of gravity. It feels so solid, so permanent, a true anchor of your physical being. Yet even this magnificent cathedral of bone is a living, changing city. It is not inert scaffolding. It is dynamic, living tissue. Within your bones, 2 types of specialist cells are in a constant, delicate balance. There are the dismantlers, called osteoclasts, which patiently break down and absorb old, tired bone tissue. They are the ship's caretakers, identifying the planks that need replacing. Following in their wake are the builders, the osteoblasts, which lay down new, strong, flexible bone matrix. This process is slower, more majestic. It is not a river, but a glacier, flowing at an imperceptible pace. Yet it flows all the same. Over the course of about 10 years, your entire skeleton will have been gradually and completely replaced. The very bones that hold you now are not the same bones that held you a decade ago. Think of who you were 10 years ago. The person who experienced that life lived within a different frame, a different set of timbers, than the one you inhabit tonight. Even your heart muscle, that faithful, rhythmic drummer of your life, replaces its cells, albeit more slowly than other tissues. And your liver, the body's great alchemist, has such a remarkable capacity for regeneration that it can rebuild itself almost entirely. So where does this leave us? It is estimated that in any given year, about 98% of the atoms in your body are replaced. Let that sink in. 98%. You are, in a very real physical sense, almost entirely new compared to the you of last year. The carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms that currently form your hand might have been part of a cloud last season, or a blade of grass, or the water in an ocean on the other side of the world. You are borrowing these atoms from the universe, assembling them into the beautiful, intricate pattern that is you, and then gracefully returning them. You are a wave in the ocean of existence, a form that matter temporarily passes through. This brings us back to our ship. If the planks, the mast, the sails, and even the deepest frame have all been replaced, what makes it the same ship? And if the cells of your skin, your stomach, your blood, and your very bones are all replaced, what makes you? The continuous history of the ship in the harbor gave it a claim to its identity. Perhaps your identity is also rooted in this continuity. Even though the components are changing, the overall structure, the pattern of you persists. The blueprint for rebuilding the ship remains the same. Your DNA is a kind of blueprint, providing the instructions for how to build and rebuild the proteins and cells that make you up. The form of the river persists, even as the water changes. But is a pattern enough to define a person? Is the blueprint the same as the building? You are not just a physical structure. You are a being of thoughts, feelings, memories, and dreams. And just as your physical body is in a state of constant flux, the inner world of your mind is perhaps an even more dynamic and shifting landscape. The architecture of your thoughts is also being constantly renovated. The paradox deepens. We have seen that the physical substance of your being is transient, a temporary gathering of stardust. So, if the you is not in the atoms, not in the cells, not in the physical stuff, then where can it possibly be? Let us drift now from the physical to the ethereal, from the body's flowing river to the ever-shifting architecture of the mind. Section 3. The ever-shifting architecture of mind. Let your awareness drift upward now, from the flowing river of the body to the quiet, luminous world within your skull. Here lies the most intricate and mysterious structure in the known universe, your brain. We often think of it as the headquarters, the command center, the fixed pilot of our physical ship. But as we continue our gentle inquiry, we will find that this pilot is not a static being, but a living, breathing landscape, one that is constantly reshaping itself in response to the journey. Imagine this inner world not as a solid object, but as an enchanted forest at twilight. A vast, sprawling network of 100 billion trees, the neurons. Each tree is shimmering with a soft, inner light. From the branches of each tree, countless delicate tendrils reach out, questing through the twilight, seeking to connect with others. Where the tendrils of two trees meet and touch, a spark of light passes between them. A synapse. This spark is a thought, a feeling, a sensation, a memory. And this forest, this galaxy of interconnected light, is the physical architecture of your mind. For centuries, we believed this architecture was fixed. We thought that by the time we reached adulthood, the forest of our mind was fully grown. The paths were set, the connections were permanent, and the landscape would remain largely unchanged for the rest of our lives. But we have since discovered something far more wondrous, a truth that places the ship of Theseus paradox right at the center of our consciousness. This truth is called neuroplasticity. Neuro refers to the neurons, those enchanted trees of your inner world. Plasticity means the quality of being easily shaped or molded, like soft clay. So, neuroplasticity is the simple, yet profound, idea that your brain structure is not fixed. It is malleable. It is constantly changing, adapting, and reorganizing itself every moment of your life in response to your experiences. Your brain is not carved from stone. It is sculpted, second by second, by the gentle chisel of your life. Think again of the paths through this forest. When you think a thought for the first time, it is like taking a first step into an untrodden part of the woods. You push aside ferns, step over roots. A faint trail is left behind, a fragile connection between 2 points. A new, tentative synapse has sparked. If you never think that thought again, the ferns will grow back, and the path will disappear. The connection will fade. This is the physical reality of forgetting. But if you think that thought again, you walk the same path. The trail becomes a little clearer, a little easier to follow. If you think it over and over, if you practice a new skill or dwell on a particular idea, that path becomes more and more defined. The footfall of your attention transforms it. The faint trail becomes a well-worn path. The path becomes a wide track. The track becomes a paved road, and eventually, a brightly lit, 6-lane superhighway. This is not just a metaphor. This is a physical change. When neurons communicate frequently, the connection between them, the synapse literally grows stronger, more efficient. New connections can form, and old, unused ones can be pruned away in a process of silent, graceful housekeeping. The very structure of your brain's wiring is altered. The famous saying in neuroscience captures this poetry perfectly. Neurons that fire together, wire together. The thoughts you think sculpt the thinker. Consider the first time you tried to learn something new. Perhaps it was riding a bicycle, playing a few chords on a guitar, or learning a new word in a foreign language. Remember the initial clumsiness? The intense concentration required? Your brain was forging new pathways, sending out questing tendrils, creating those first, fragile connections in the forest. It was hard work. Your mental feet were stumbling in the undergrowth. But you persisted. You practiced. Day after day, you sent signals down those same fledgling neural pathways. You walked the path again and again. And slowly, magically, it became easier. The clumsy fumbling transformed into fluid motion. The conscious effort dissolved into unconscious ease. You no longer had to think about every tiny movement. The highway was built. Your brain had physically rewired itself to accommodate this new skill. The skill is not an abstract idea. It is a physical change in the structure of your mind. A new set of planks and rigging has been added to your ship, making it more capable than it was before. This process is happening all the time, not just when you are actively learning. Every book you read, every conversation you have, every piece of music you listen to, every new place you see, every gentle insight you have as you drift off to sleep, each of these experiences is a whisper of change, a gentle breeze that rustles the leaves of your neural forest, strengthening some connections, weakening others. The person who wakes up tomorrow morning will have a brain that is subtly, microscopically different from the one that is listening to these words right now. So, if the very architecture that produces your thoughts, your personality, your beliefs, and your habits is in a constant state of flux, then what is the self that is built upon this shifting ground? Are you the same person you were before you fell in love, before you experienced a great loss, before you mastered a new skill, before you changed a deeply held belief? These life events are not just entries in a biographical ledger. They are powerful neurosculpting events that have physically altered the landscape of your mind. The ship has not only had its planks replaced, but its very design has been modified, upgraded, and rerouted mid-voyage. The you of a decade ago had a brain that was wired differently. It processed the world through a different network of connections. That version of you, in a very real, physical sense, no longer exists. A new version has been sculpted into being by 10 years of living. This is not a cause for alarm, but for wonder. It means you are not a prisoner of your past. You are not a finished product. You are a process of becoming. The landscape of your mind is not a fixed map, but a living territory with the potential to grow new forests and carve new rivers. This is the biological basis of hope, of growth, of change. But this brings the paradox into sharper focus. We have found that your physical body is a flowing river of atoms. Now we find that your mind is a shifting architecture of neural connections. The matter is transient, and the pattern itself is also changing. If both the substance of the ship and its design are being continuously altered, the question of identity becomes even more profound and more pressing. Perhaps the answer lies not in the structure itself, but in what the structure holds. The brain's most magical function, the one most intimately tied to our sense of self, is its ability to hold the past within the present. The ability to create and store memories. The echoes of who we were are stored within this changing architecture. So, let us drift deeper still. Let us now walk through this enchanted, ever-changing forest of the mind and look for the ghosts that inhabit it. Let us ask, what is a memory? And how does this library of the past, stored within a brain that is always changing, give us a thread of continuity, a sense of an enduring self? Section 4. Echoes in the Hall of Memory. Let your awareness drift now into that enchanted, ever-shifting forest of your mind. Within this living architecture, we believe our past is stored, providing the anchor for who we are. We think of memory as a grand library, a silent, hallowed place where our life is chronicled. In our imagination, each day is a book, bound and placed upon a shelf, its story written in permanent ink. To remember, we think, is to simply walk down the aisle, pull a specific volume from the shelf, and read the unchanging text. The self, then, is the chief librarian, the only one with a key, the guardian of this complete and faithful record. But how could such a static library exist within a brain that is, as we have discovered, a dynamic, flowing, and ever-rewiring landscape? How can a permanent book sit on a shelf that is itself dissolving and reforming moment by moment? How can the ink remain fixed when the very paper is alive? Here, the paradox of our being deepens once more, for the nature of memory is far more mysterious, far more fluid, and far more beautiful than that of a simple library. The truth is, your brain does not store memories like books on a shelf or files in a computer. It does not record the past. Instead, every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds the memory from scratch. Imagine a memory not as a finished painting, but as a brilliant artist's preparatory sketch. The original event, the experience, creates the initial sketch of few key lines, a splash of color for the emotion, a note in the margin about the light or the sound. This sketch is then stored, not in one place, but scattered across vast networks of neurons in your brain's forest. The visual elements are stored in the visual cortex, the sounds in the auditory cortex, the emotions in the amygdala, the facts and context in the hippocampus. There is no single book of the memory. There is only a unique constellation of starlit neurons that fired together during the original event. When you wish to recall that memory, you are not retrieving a finished painting. You are summoning the original artist, your present-day consciousness, to look at that old, faded sketch and repaint the entire scene. And here is the crucial, transformative secret. The artist, your current self, brings a new palette of colors to the task every single time. The artist has seen more of the world since the sketch was first made. They have learned new techniques, felt new sorrows, experienced new joys. And so, as they repaint the memory, they cannot help but add a new brushstroke here, a slightly different shading there. The new painting is deeply inspired by the original sketch, but it is a new creation. It is the past, seen through the lens of the present. This is why the act of remembering is scientifically known as a reconstructive process. And what is even more astonishing is a phenomenon called reconsolidation. When you recall a memory, it doesn't just appear in your mind's eye. For a brief, magical window of time, the neural connections that form that memory become malleable again. They become soft clay. They are unlocked. In this state, the memory is vulnerable. It can be subtly altered. New information, new emotions, new perspectives can be woven into the original tapestry. Then, when you're done remembering, the brain stores this new, updated version of the memory. You are not remembering your 5th birthday party. You are remembering the last time you remembered your 5th birthday party. You are remembering a memory of a memory of a memory. The story has been whispered down a long line of your former selves, and each self has added its own slight inflection, its own quiet emphasis. This might sound like a flaw, a bug in the system. It can feel unsettling to think that our precious past is not a solid bedrock, but a flowing stream. But it is not a flaw. It is one of the most magnificent features of being human. It is the mechanism of wisdom, of healing, of growth. This gentle rewriting of the past allows you to integrate new experiences and learn from them. It allows the sharp, painful edges of a traumatic memory to soften over time, as your mind gradually wraps it in the context of survival and subsequent safety. It allows you to look back at a past mistake not with the same raw shame, but with the compassion and understanding you have gained since. You are not erasing the past, you are learning to live with it. You are transforming the raw data of your life into a meaningful story. So, the thread of continuity that connects you to your past is not an unbreakable chain of factual recall. It is something more ethereal and more profound. It is more like an echo in a great hall. The original sound was the event, but what you hear now is that sound as it has bounced off every wall, every pillar, every new object placed in the hall since it was first uttered. The fundamental note is still there, the emotional core, the ghostly perfume of the moment. You remember the warmth of the sun on your skin, the feeling of pure joy, the sting of a specific sadness. These emotional truths often persist with great fidelity. but the details surrounding them, the exact words spoken, the color of the car, the order of events are the parts that are repainted and resculpted with each recollection. This means that the you who is listening to these words is, in a very real sense, a co-author of your own past. The self you are today is actively shaping the self you were yesterday. The ship of your identity is not just being rebuilt with new planks. The ship's logbook is being gently edited and annotated by the current captain with every reading. So, if our identity cannot be found in the transient matter of our body, nor in the shifting architecture of our brain, and not even in a fixed and faithful record of our past, where does that leave us? The paradox seems to grow with every step of our journey. It leaves us with the story itself. Perhaps the you is not the ship, or the brain, or the library. Perhaps the you is the ongoing process of telling the story. Perhaps the self is not a thing at all, but a narrative. A continuous, unfolding tale that you are spinning about a character who happens to have your name. This story weaves together the fleeting memories, the changing beliefs, the physical sensations, and the future hopes into a coherent, flowing whole. It is the thread that makes a meaningful pattern out of the chaos of existence. It is the story that allows the ship to be called Theseus, whether its planks are old or new. And so our journey must now turn to the story. What is the nature of this narrative you tell yourself about yourself? How is it constructed? And how does this personal myth, this epic poem you are constantly writing, become the most essential plank in the ship of your identity? Section 5. The narrative thread of the self. Imagine now that you are sitting in a quiet, comfortable room. Before you, on a small wooden table, is a single, beautiful thread. It shimmers with a soft, internal light, a complex filament spun from countless finer fibers. Some fibers are the color of joy, a brilliant, warm gold. Others are a deep, contemplative indigo, the color of sorrow. There are fibers of bright, curious green for growth and learning, and threads of fiery red for love and passion. This single, luminous thread represents your narrative identity, the story you tell yourself about who you are. This story is perhaps the most powerful and persistent answer to the paradox we are exploring. After journeying through the flowing river of your body and the shifting architecture of your mind, after discovering that your memories are not a fixed library but a constantly repainted mural, we arrive at this central, creative act. The self, many psychologists and philosophers now believe, is not a static object we discover, but a dynamic story we create. You are the author, the narrator, and the main character of your own life's epic. This narrative is not a conscious, deliberate fabrication. It is a deep, instinctual human need. We are storytelling creatures. From the moment we can speak, we begin to weave the disparate moments of our lives into a coherent plot. We look for cause and effect, for turning points, for heroes and villains, for themes and recurring motifs. We need to make sense of the world, and most importantly, we need to make sense of ourselves. Our story is the loom upon which we weave the raw, chaotic threads of experience into a meaningful tapestry. Think about how you answer the simple question, "Tell me about yourself." You do not respond with a list of your current cellular composition. You do not describe the state of your neural pathways. You tell a story. You might start with where you were born, the once upon a time of your existence. You will likely mention key chapters, your childhood, your education, your career path, your significant relationships. You will highlight certain events that you feel were formative, the turning points in your plot. The time you moved to a new city, the moment you met a special person, the challenge you overcame that taught you something profound about yourself. These are the load-bearing walls of your narrative identity. Notice how you select these moments. Out of the billions of seconds you have lived, you curate a very specific set of scenes to represent the whole. You are the editor of your own film, choosing which clips make the final cut, which moments best define the character you believe yourself to be. Another person, living the exact same life, might choose an entirely different set of moments, crafting a completely different story with a different theme. This story gives you a sense of continuity. It is the thread that connects the child you were, full of wonder and naivety, to the adolescent you were, grappling with change and identity, to the adult you are today. The physical body has changed completely. The mind has been rewired. The memories have been reconstructed. But the story flows onward. The character in Chapter 3 is understood to be the same character as in Chapter 23 because they are part of the same unfolding narrative. The story of you is what bridges the gap between your many past selves and your present self. Consider the ship of Theseus. What makes the repaired ship in the harbor the real one for the people of Athens? It is its continuous story. It has an unbroken narrative of being the ship in the harbor. It has been a constant character in the city's ongoing story. The reassembled ship in the warehouse has the original substance, but it has a broken narrative. It was dismantled, it disappeared from the story, and then it was brought back. Its plot has a major discontinuity. For many, identity lies in this narrative continuity more than in physical substance. Your own narrative is just as vital. It provides not just continuity, but also meaning and purpose. Your story helps you understand why things happen the way they did. You might frame a difficult period in your life not as a random, meaningless suffering, but as a chapter of challenges that ultimately made you stronger, more compassionate, or more resilient. You weave the pain into a plot of redemption and growth. This is an incredibly powerful human ability. We are alchemists of meaning, turning the lead of raw experience into the gold of a compelling story. This narrative is not static, of course. Just like your memories, it is constantly being edited and revised. A major life event can cause you to go back and rewrite previous chapters of your story. For example, a late-in-life diagnosis might cause you to reinterpret your entire childhood, seeing past behaviors and feelings in a completely new light. A new, loving relationship might help you reframe past heartbreaks not as failures, but as necessary steps on the path that led you here. You are constantly refining your autobiography, adding new footnotes, and shifting the theme as you grow and learn. The author matures, and so the story deepens. So, when we ask, are you the same person you were 10 years ago? The narrative identity perspective offers a beautiful and nuanced answer. No, you are not the same in substance or even in mental structure. But you are the same person in the sense that you are the continuing protagonist of the same story. You are Chapter 30, and the you of 10 years ago was Chapter 20. You are inextricably linked by the plot that connects you. The identity, the self, is the narrative thread itself, not any single point upon it. This act of storytelling is so central that when it breaks down, our sense of self can falter. In some neurological conditions or deep psychological trauma, a person's ability to maintain a coherent life story can be fractured. This is often described as a profound and terrifying loss of self, a feeling of being unmoored from one's own life. It highlights just how much we rely on this invisible, internal narrative to anchor our existence. But our story is not written in a vacuum. The author is not isolated in a quiet room with only their own thoughts. The story of you is profoundly shaped, sculpted, and co-authored by the world around you and the other characters in your life. You are not a solitary ship on a private sea. Your voyage is intertwined with a whole fleet of other vessels, and your identity is shaped by the tides and currents they create. Let us now gently widen our focus from the internal author to the external world. Let us explore how our relationships, our culture, and our environment are not just the setting of our story, but active co-writers, constantly adding new sentences, suggesting new plot twists, and helping us understand who our character truly is. The self is not a solo performance, but a grand, collaborative symphony. Section 6. Islands Connected Beneath the Waves. The author of your story, as we have discovered, is not working in isolation. The quiet, comfortable room where your narrative is spun is not a sealed chamber. Its windows are wide open to the world. And the world does not just look and it enters. It participates. It becomes a co-author of your unfolding tale. Your story is not a monologue. It is a conversation. Let us now imagine yourself, your identity, as a beautiful, solitary island rising from the sea. From the deck of a passing ship, it appears distinct, a self-contained world with its own unique landscape of beaches, forests, and mountains. This is how we often perceive ourselves and others, as separate, sovereign entities. But this perspective from the surface tells only half the story. Beneath the shimmering, shifting surface of the water, the truth is far more interconnected. What appeared to be separate islands are, in fact, the peaks of a single, vast, underwater mountain range, all connected by the deep, unseen foundation of a shared world. Your identity is like one of these islands. It is shaped not only by its own internal geology, but by the constant, dynamic influence of the ocean around it, the ocean of other people, of culture, of place. Consider first the most intimate of these forces, the presence of another person. When you are with someone you love, a close friend, a family member, they become a kind of living mirror. You see parts of yourself reflected in their eyes that you could never see on your own. Their laughter at your jokes affirms your sense of humor. Their comfort in your presence reveals your capacity for gentleness. Their belief in you can call forth a strength you didn't know you possessed. You become a version of yourself in their presence, a self that is subtly, or sometimes profoundly, different from the self who is alone, or with someone else. This is a quiet, continuous dance of co-creation. Think of a specific relationship that is important to you. The person you are with them, is it not a unique collaboration? You bring out certain qualities in them, and they in you. Your stories intertwine. Their past becomes part of your emotional landscape, and yours becomes part of theirs. You develop a shared language, inside jokes, a common history that is woven directly into the fabric of your individual narratives. The plank of their experience is used to repair a part of your ship, and a plank of yours is used on theirs. In this beautiful exchange, where does you end and they begin? The boundary becomes as soft and permeable as a shoreline where the sand and sea are in a constant, gentle embrace. Now, let us zoom out slightly from the individual mirror to the first constellation of others that shaped you, your family. Your family was your first culture, your first world. They gave you the first draft of your story, the initial chapters that all subsequent chapters would be built upon. The values, the beliefs, the habits, the ways of showing or not showing emotion, these were the initial weather patterns on your island. They were the currents that first carved the shape of your shoreline. Whether you embraced, rejected, or redefined these initial influences, they remain a foundational part of your narrative. The you of today is, in some way, a response to that initial story. You are either continuing the plot they started, or you are writing a new chapter in deliberate contrast to it. But either way, their words are on the page. They are the invisible ink beneath your own handwriting. The ship you captain today may have been built in a shipyard designed by them, and even if you have modified it extensively, its original design still echoes in its form. Let us zoom out even further to the vast, encompassing ocean of your culture. Culture is like the water we swim in. It is so pervasive, so all-encompassing, that we often do not even notice its presence. But it shapes us in the most profound ways. The language you speak is a perfect example. The language you were given is not just a set of labels for things. It is a toolkit for thinking. It contains within its very grammar and vocabulary a certain way of seeing the world, of carving reality into categories. The words you have for emotions shape how you experience those emotions. The stories your culture tells, its myths, its histories, its heroes provide the archetypes and plot lines that you subconsciously use to structure your own personal narrative. The values your society holds about success, about family, about what a good life looks like are powerful currents that can pull your ship in a certain direction. You may sail with these currents or fight to sail against them, but you cannot ignore their force. You are a product of your time and place, as much as you are a product of your own choices. Your very idea of what an individual or a self is itself a cultural story. And finally, let us consider the land itself. The physical environment you inhabit is not just a passive backdrop to your story, it is an active character. The air you breathe, the quality of the light, the sounds of your surroundings, these things seep into you. A person raised in the vast, quiet expanse of the plains will have a different internal rhythm from a person raised amidst the dense, vertical energy of a great city. The mountains teach a certain kind of stillness and perspective. The ocean teaches a sense of immensity and constant change. These environments become part of your physical being. The minerals in the local soil become the minerals in your bones. The specific quality of the sunlight informs your body's daily clock. Your island is literally built from the substance of its location on the planet. This physical intertwining mirrors the psychological. The landscape gets inside you, shaping your moods, your thoughts, your sense of what is beautiful or what feels like home. So, we are brought back to our paradox with a new, beautiful layer of complexity. The ship of Theseus is not sailing a private sea. Its journey is shaped by the tides of relationships, the currents of culture, and the very composition of the water it sails through. The repairs are not just being made by the crew on board. The sea itself is constantly adding its patina, its salt, its transformative touch to the wood. If your identity is so deeply co-created by the world around you, does that diminish your individuality? Or does it enrich it? Perhaps the self is not a fortress to be defended, but a bridge to be crossed. Perhaps your uniqueness lies not in your separation, but in the specific, unrepeatable way that all of these influences your biology, your mind's plasticity, your reconstructed memories, your personal narrative, and your interconnectedness with the world all converge into the single, luminous point of consciousness that is you. You are not just the island. You are the unique way the island meets the sea. You are the shoreline, the place of constant, beautiful exchange. But if you are not a thing, not a substance, not a static story, but a process of exchange, then what is it that persists through time? What is it that allows you to say, I, and have it mean something continuous? Perhaps the answer lies in shifting our focus from the object to the motion, from the noun to the verb. Perhaps you are not a thing at all, but a pattern. Section 7. The persistence of a pattern. Let us pause for a moment in our journey. We have explored the ship of your body and found it to be a flowing river. We have navigated the architecture of your mind and found it to be an ever-shifting forest. We have searched for your past in the halls of memory and found only living echoes. We have seen how your very identity is a story co-authored by the world around you. At every turn, the solid ground we seek seems to dissolve into a beautiful, dynamic flux. It is easy to feel unmoored, to ask if everything is changing, is anything real? What is it that endures? To find a new kind of anchor, we must perform a gentle shift in our perception. We have been looking for a Tina permanent soul, an essential core, a static object we can call me. But what if the self is not a thing at all? What if our search has been for a noun, when the answer is a verb? Imagine, resting on the quiet table of your mind, a single, lit candle. Look at the flame. It has a shape, a presence, a distinct identity. You can point to it and say, that is the flame. It seems like a constant, singular object, but what is it truly? The flame is not a static thing. It is a process. It is a dance. It is a visible event of transformation. The flame is constantly drawing fuel to wax from the candle, the oxygen from the air into itself. It is consuming what it is not, and in the process of a beautiful chemical reaction, it is transforming that fuel into something else entirely, into light, into heat, into water vapor and carbon dioxide. The atoms that make up the flame are in a state of ceaseless flow. A microsecond ago, they were part of the wax or the air. A microsecond from now, they will be dissipating as warmth and gas into the room. There is not a single particle that remains permanently in the flame. The substance is completely transient. And yet, we do not hesitate to call it the flame. We see it as a single, continuous entity. Why? Because what persists is not the substance, but the pattern. The stable, recognizable shape of the flame is the outward expression of a continuous, self-sustaining process. The flame is the pattern of change itself. Now, gently, see yourself as this flame. You're not a static object. You are a process. You are a magnificent, slow-burning fire of life. Every moment, you are drawing fuel from the world. The food you eat, the water you drink, the air you breathe, these are the wax and oxygen for your biological flame. Your cells consume this matter, transforming it into the energy that warms your skin and powers your thoughts, releasing the rest back into the world. The atoms are just passing through you. But your fuel is more than just matter. It is also information. Every sight, every sound, every conversation, every idea you encounter, this is the fuel for your conscious flame. You draw in these experiences, and your ever-changing brain processes them, weaving them into the tapestry of your understanding, transforming them into new thoughts, new beliefs, new memories. You are constantly consuming the world and expressing a unique self in response. So, if you are this flame, what is the you that persists from day to day, from year to year? It is the unique, unrepeatable pattern of your fire. This pattern is your deep signature, written in the language of existence. It is the specific way your body organizes matter into a living form, guided by the blueprint of your DNA, but expressed with infinite, subtle variations. It is the characteristic rhythm of your heart, the unique cadence of your breath as you sleep. It is the signature of your mind. It is your particular way of thinking, the recurring pathways in your neural forest that form the essence of your personality. It is your unique blend of curiosity, caution, humor, and contemplation. It is the way you characteristically respond to joy or to challenge. It is the pattern of your story. It is the unique way you, as the author, choose to connect the events of your life, the specific themes you find, the particular meaning you create from the raw data of your existence. This pattern is not rigid. A flame is not static. It flickers, it dances, it grows and shrinks in response to the currents of air around it. But through all its flickering, it remains recognizably itself. It maintains its core process. In the same way, your pattern evolves. It is shaped by the breezes of your life, by your relationships, your experiences, your choices. The person you are today is a more complex, nuanced expression of the same core pattern that you were 10 years ago. The flame has grown, its colors may have deepened, but it is an unbroken continuation of the same fire. With this understanding, let's look back one last time at the two ships in the harbor of our mind. The repaired ship in the water, and the reassembled ship of original parts, which is the real ship of Theseus. From the perspective of the pattern, the answer becomes clearer. The ship in the harbor, the one that is constantly being repaired, is the one that maintains the unbroken pattern of being. Its identity comes from its continuous existence, its constant function as the monument in the harbor. It is a process, a continuous story. Its pattern of existence was never broken. The ship reassembled in the warehouse is made of the original matter, but its pattern was shattered. It ceased to be a ship. It became a collection of disconnected planks. When it was reassembled, a ship pattern was imposed upon it again, but it is a new instance of that pattern. The continuity was lost. The flame went out. Relighting it creates a new flame, even if you use the same candle. So your identity, your persistence through time, lies in this unbroken continuity of your pattern. You are not the same matter you were a decade ago. You are not even the same mental structure. But you are connected to that past self by a continuous, evolving, flowing pattern of existence. The flame has never gone out. This shifts the paradox from a problem to a description. The question, if you change, are you still the same person? Contains its own answer. You are the same person because you are constantly changing in a continuous, patterned way. The sameness is not in stasis, but in the beautiful, flowing continuity of the change itself. You are not a being, you are a process of becoming. To see yourself this way, not as a solid, fixed noun, but as a living, dynamic verb, can feel like a profound release. You are not a finished statue to be judged. You are a river, flowing. You are a flame, dancing. You are a story, unfolding. But does this reframing of the self as a process, a pattern, make life feel less personal, less precious? Or does it do the opposite? Does it reveal a deeper, more wondrous truth about what it means to be alive? Let us drift into this question and see if we can reframe this entire paradox not as a problem to be solved, but as a beauty to be witnessed. Section 9. A glimpse into the quantum you. Let our awareness now become very soft, very spacious. We're going to drift from the familiar landscapes of biology and psychology into a realm that feels more like a dream, a place where the solid rules of our everyday world seem to melt away. We are not going to try to understand the complex mathematics of this world, but simply to borrow its poetry, to see if its strange truths can cast a new, metaphorical light on the mystery of our own being. We are taking a gentle glimpse into the quantum realm. In the world we are used to, the world of ships and people, things are solid and definite. A plank is either on the ship or it is not. A person is either in the room or they are not. Things have a specific location and a definite state. But when we journey down, past the scale of cells and molecules and atoms, into the subatomic world of electrons and photons, these certainties dissolve into a shimmering cloud of possibility. Imagine a single, unobserved electron. Before we look at it, quantum mechanics tells us something extraordinary. The electron is not in any one specific place. It doesn't have a definite position like a tiny, solid ball. Instead, it exists in a state of pure potential, a superposition. It is a wave of probability, a ghostly cloud of potential locations, all existing simultaneously. It is, in a metaphorical sense, potentially everywhere and actually nowhere. It is a haze of what could be. It is only when we interact with it, when we ask it where it is by trying to measure it, that this wave of potential collapses into a single, definite reality. The moment we observe it, the electron chooses a single location and appears there as a definite particle. The act of observation does not merely reveal the electron's position, it seems to help create it. The potential becomes actual through the act of interaction. Now, let this strange and beautiful idea float gently in your mind. Does it not echo, in a poetic way, the nature of the self we have been exploring? Before a choice, before an experience, before a new thought, are you not also a being of pure potential? The you of the future does not yet exist as a fixed, definite entity. It exists as a superposition of countless possible selves. There is a potential you who will take that new job, a potential you who will not, a potential you who will learn to play the piano, a potential you who will not, a potential you who will react to a challenge with anger, and a potential you who will react with compassion. All of these future selves exist as shimmering probabilities, as waves of potential within the vast, open field of your consciousness. And what is it that collapses this wave of potential into the single, actual you of the next moment? It is the act of living. It is your choices, your attention, your interactions with the world. When you choose a path, you are, in a sense, making an observation of your own potential. You are taking the infinite cloud of could be and collapsing it into the definite is of your lived experience. The moment you decide, the moment you act, you are turning a probability into a reality. You are creating the next point on the timeline of your life. This means that you are not simply discovering a pre-written future. You are an active participant in the creation of your reality, moment by moment. You are the observer of your own quantum field of potential, and your attention, your choices, your very consciousness are the forces that transform that potential into the actual story of your life. Let's consider another quantum mystery, entanglement. This is what Einstein famously called spooky action at a distance. Two particles can become entangled, meaning their fates are linked in a profound and instantaneous way, no matter how far apart they are. If you measure a property of one particle, you instantly know the state of the other, even if it is on the other side of the galaxy. They are, in a deep sense, not two separate things, but two parts of a single, unified system. Does this not feel like a poetic description of the interconnected self we explored? You are not an isolated particle. You are entangled with the people in your life, with your culture, with your environment. Their state affects your state, and yours affects theirs in subtle and instantaneous ways that defy simple linear logic. When a loved one is in pain, you feel it even from a distance. When you bring joy into a room, the state of the room changes. You are not a separate island, but part of a single, entangled system of relationships and consciousness. Your identity is fundamentally relational, just as the identity of an entangled particle is defined by its connection to another. This quantum perspective does not offer a scientific proof of the nature of the self. Rather, it offers a powerful metaphor that resonates deeply with what we have discovered. It suggests that the universe, at its most fundamental level, is not made of solid, separate things, but of relationships, possibilities, and processes. It whispers that fluidity, uncertainty, and potential are not flaws in our being, but the very fabric of existence. Seeing yourself as a quantum being, a wave of potential constantly collapsing into the beautiful actuality of your life, is a profoundly liberating act. It releases you from the prison of a fixed identity. You are never just the sum of your past collapses, of your past choices. In every new moment, you are a fresh wave of potential. In every instant, you stand at the threshold of creation. The ship of Theseus paradox arises from a classical, common-sense view of the world, a world of solid objects with definite boundaries. But if we allow ourselves to be touched by the poetry of the quantum world, the paradox simply evaporates. You are not a solid object. You are a probability wave of being. You are not a noun, but a verb. You are not a thing, but an event, a continuous, beautiful event of potential becoming actual. And so we arrive at the final shore of our journey tonight. We have traveled from an ancient Greek harbor to the inner cosmos of your body and mind, and finally to the ghostly world of quantum possibility. And at every step, we have found the same answer whispered in different languages. Identity is not a destination, but a journey. Let us now gather all these threads aship, the river, the forest, the story, the flame, the wave, and weave them together into a final, peaceful understanding. Section 10. The ship is the journey, not the destination. And so we return. After a long and winding voyage through the inner cosmos, let us drift back, one last time, to the sun-drenched harbor of the mind where our journey began. There, before you, is the ship of Theseus, the ancient, silent vessel that sparked our gentle inquiry tonight. We began with a simple question. After all its parts have been replaced, is it still the same ship? But the question was a key, not a lock. And the journey it has taken us on has revealed that the question itself was pointing to the answer all along. We have discovered that you are this ship, and the paradox of its identity is the very story of your own. We looked at the ship's planks and saw the flowing river of your own body, a vessel where 98% of the atoms are replaced each year. The physical matter is a temporary gift from the universe, constantly borrowed and returned. The substance is transient. We looked at the ship's design, its blueprint, and we found the ever-shifting forest of your mind, a neural architecture that is not fixed, but constantly rewired and resculpted by every experience, every thought. The pattern itself is alive and changing. We searched for the ship's logbook, its history, and we found the echoing halls of memory, a past that is not a static record, but a living mural, repainted with the wisdom and perspective of the present moment with every recollection. The story is co-authored by the person you are today. We realized the ship was not sailing in a vacuum. Its voyage is shaped by the tides of relationship, the currents of culture, the very water of the world it moves through. Your identity is not an isolated island, but a point of profound connection, entangled with the whole. So we asked, if the substance, the pattern, the history, and the context are all in flux, what endures? And there, we found the gentlest and most profound truth of all. We found the steady, dancing flame. We saw that what persists is not a thing, but a process. Not a noun, but a verb. The true, unbroken identity is the pattern of the change itself. The paradox of the ship of Theseus was never really a paradox. It was a description of what it means to be a living, enduring entity in a universe of flow. The ship's true identity is not to be a specific collection of wooden planks. Its identity, its very essence, is to be the legendary ship that is continuously maintained on its journey. Its endurance is its change. Its sameness is its constant renewal. And your identity is not found in a static snapshot of who you were, or even who you are right now. Your authentic self is not a thing to be found, but a process to be lived. You are the continuous, unbroken story of all your changes. You are the river flowing. You are the tree growing. You are the flame dancing. You are the voyage unfolding. The you of 10 years ago and the you of today are connected by the simple, miraculous fact that the flame never went out. The voyage was never broken. The purpose of the ship is not to remain unchanged in the harbor. The purpose of the ship is to sail. And the purpose of your life is not to remain the same, but to live, to experience, to learn, to love, to grieve, to grow, to become. The beauty is not in the arrival, but in the journey itself. You are not a final destination. You are the voyage in all its glory. This truth does not diminish you. It liberates you. It means you are not defined by any single plank, any single memory, any single past mistake. You are the whole ship, the whole journey. And that journey is still underway. Even now, in this moment of deep quiet and rest, the process continues. New cells are being born. New neural pathways are settling into place. The ink on today's page in your story is gently drying. The ship is sailing, even in the stillness of the night. It is the silent, graceful rhythm of life itself. There is nothing you need to do to make it happen. You only need to rest and allow the gentle, constant miracle of your own becoming to continue on its course. Awaiting continue equals 1. And so our journey through the paradox comes to a gentle close for tonight. Let these ideas, the ship, the river, the flame now drift away like soft clouds on a peaceful sky. You do not need to hold on to them. They were simply boats to carry you to this quiet shore of sleep. Trust in the profound change that this rest brings. Sleep is your body's sacred, nightly ritual of renewal, the quiet work of the ship's caretakers, lovingly mending your sails and strengthening your hull for the new day to come. You are safe in this process. You are whole in your becoming. There is nothing to solve, nothing to figure out. There is only this deep, healing rest. So drift now into the peaceful, boundless ocean of your dreams. Sleep well.